Hi, this is Becky Ivory again with another really important tip to help you keep your kids safe from childhood sexual abuse. One of the things that we've done in our family that I have not regretted for a single day was to ban sleepovers with friends. Now, we got some pushback on that from a couple of our oldest kids when we put it into place. But let me explain why. 90% of all kids who are sexually abused are abused by people they know. And oftentimes there is peer-to-peer sexual abuse as well as from adults. And we want to protect our kids from all those things as much as possible. One day, I was sitting in a training meeting. I was in my church. I was over the young women for an entire area, and I got invited to a training. And the head psychiatrist for our church, of many millions of people, was there training us. And he said, just as an aside, I want you all to think about banning sleepovers for your children. He said, if you knew what I knew and you had seen as much damage as I had seen, you would never let your children have another sleepover. Now, this kind of surprised me because, I'm a survivor of childhood sexual abuse, and I thought I was being pretty careful with my kids. But when I heard that, I realized maybe I was being naive. So after that meeting, I met with 7 bishops of their own wards, is what we call our church areas, and the stake president, who was over that entire group of people. And I asked them, how did you feel about what he said about sleepovers? And every one of them started shaking their heads and saying, oh my gosh, if you've ever been a bishop, you would not allow your children to have sleepovers. That if you've been a bishop for even 2 months, you learn very quickly that you would never let your children sleep over at somebody else's house. And I was dumbfounded. I went home, talked to my husband, and we announced to the kids we were no longer doing sleepovers. They could have late nights, which meant they could go with their friends. We'd let them stay up past curfew. They could giggle and try on makeup and watch movies and eat food and have all sorts of fun. And when it was time to go to sleep, we would come and pick them up. Now, they gave us some pushback for that. They'd say, but we're just going to be sleeping. And I'd say, then you can sleep in your own bed. There's no reason to do it there. Well, it wasn't long before our second oldest daughter came to us and said, hey, Mom, I need to tell you something. She had found out that 2 of her friends from school had had a sleepover at one of their houses, and they had both been sexually abused by an older brother who had been there. So we called Child Protective Services, who was able to contact the family and get them the help that they needed. But I'll tell you, I didn't have to convince my children after that it was a good rule. So that's the next safe boundary that I would establish if I were you trying to protect your kids from childhood sexual abuse. That's all for this week. We'll see you soon. Stay safe.